All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy and excited to be here. Today is our June 14th already. We're about to approach Father's Day weekend. So to all you fathers out there, happy Father's Day weekend. Spend some time with the family, and I wish you and really just a good time to stop, reflect, and enjoy company. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Happy Father's Day, Kelvin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to not working and just relaxing a little bit. Um, so I wanted to cover today a very important and relevant topic that's going to be needing all of our attention, especially for us listing agents out there. Because if you read all of the news and everything on YouTube and all of the various headlines out there, everyone is saying a consistent message. Oh, the real estate market is crashing. Oh, the interest rates are soaring sky high. Oh, homes are now no longer affordable. The market's crashing. No one's going to be able to afford or purchase or get financing for loans. If you read the most recent uh, articles on financing, even a perfect FICO score, good credit person is getting a 30-year loan now, greater than 6.13% for a 30-year fixed loan. So everything is relative. And yes, compared to 2021 and 2020, this 6% plus is higher than that. But we already both all knew the Fed was artificially keeping rates, treasury yields at zero. And so that's why everyone was able to get great financing during that pandemic period. But this is now becoming a normal market. This is now becoming a market where there's a lot of negotiations that need to be done. Pricing of property is very crucial. Before, in the past couple of years, you could put any price on a property and it will sell. There's a line out the door, and there's a lot of buyers writing offers in the last couple of years. And that's due to the limited inventory. You could have $1 million home and you price it for 500,000 and someone's going to give you 1.1. It doesn't matter what you priced it back then. But I'm telling you, all of that new normal COVID pandemic listing stuff that we experienced is short lived. It's gone. Those days are not coming back, at least not anytime soon. We are now officially transitioning to a normal market where you're going to have some inventory sitting on the market for 60, 90 days or longer. You are going to have problems with financing and a lot of people not being able to qualify or afford the new ratios that are continuing to rise. You have inflation, and the data suggests that our inflation numbers are like 9% plus month over month. And that signals to us continued downward pressure from the Fed to slow down our economy. And a lot of this stuff is important to all of us because home real estate is usually a industry that is recession proof. Okay, technically speaking, yes, it is recession proof. We're here in the business in real estate because everyone needs to live somewhere and everyone needs a roof over the head. And usually, if anyone cuts back on spending or whatnot, they cut in other areas. They will still keep and maintain as best they can, maintain living in their home. So that's fundamentally recession-proof industry. But I'm going to tell you, this time is a little different. As an economist, I feel that it's important to share a couple of things when there's a need to sell. You're about ready for a listing presentation and you're going to have a consultation with that seller. Some of the things to keep in mind and understand is honestly finding out their true motivation to sell. Sometimes they're selling because they want to upsize or downsize and move to a different neighborhood, job relocation, move out of state, growing family. Maybe they're divorcing and they want to, there's so many different reasons. And at the end of the day, the time is important. So I hear your motivation, seller, but please tell me, how soon would you want this to sell? Okay. Because this market is changing so quickly that by the time I see you next time I see you in a couple of weeks, the Fed might be announcing a 75 basis point increase to the 10-year treasury yield. And they've been continuing to do this every single month, raising rates. And that has a correlated impact negatively to our mortgage pricing. So we're at 6.13% for a 30-year loan right now. And many people like yourselves experienced in the 80s and 90s where you guys were getting 12, 13, 16, 17% interest rates. So we're all well aware that 6% is normal. It's not something that's crazy, but it's also something that is tough and challenging, especially for those who didn't buy yet or refinance yet. But I'm telling you, this time is different. We are all experiencing a slowdown in the industry, and it's happening industry-wide, Southern California-wide, California in general, where a lot of people are, one, not happy where they're at. Their finance or their incomes are relatively high cost of living compared to other cities throughout the US. And then you have a lot of bad things coming in our area, such as crime, robberies, theft, shoplifting, shootings. You have a bunch of different things occurring. Homelessness is a big issue. And we need to cover, how are we going to improve our own communities? How are we going to make sure we stay forefront in front of our clients? And I can tell you a lot of this has to do with your consultation, okay? Because a lot of the stuff I will tell you and talk to you about today will make sense. So going over why it is different today. Many people took advantage of the pandemic, and take advantage means not a bad negative thing. It's just they were smart and wise to either purchase real estate and lock in a low interest rate that was probably 2.675 or under 3% for most people in 2020, and or they refinanced their existing home, cashed out, and pulled some capital in reserves. Okay, great. They're well positioned if they were one of the successful who were able to do any of those, refinance or purchase. They're in a good position to survive a downturn or a recession. But there's still many people out there, a lot more, majority, who did not get to take advantage of this opportunity. They either were unemployed, they didn't have the job income, they were not an essential worker, they probably got laid off during the pandemic. And so instead, maybe they got some unemployment benefits. Maybe they got some PPP loan. Maybe they got CARES Act, other types of government money and stimulus that's helpful. But all of that was, like I said before, the government just printing more and more money, sending it out to every American and taxpayer, and increasing our government's debt. That's the true course. All the money that was printed in the pandemic is causing all of this inflation we have today. Okay, so a lot of this is important to explain to the sellers, because sure, their home value has appreciated. Yes. Their equity has appreciated. Yes. The problem is, where are they going to go next? And for most Americans right now, it makes no sense to buy. Let's say I live in San Gabriel right now, and let's say I want to move into a nicer neighborhood and I want to move into San Marino or a good area. It really makes no, or even if I want to downsize, let's say I want to downsize or go to a smaller area, it doesn't make any sense because I've already locked in my low interest rate. And when I break it down by payments and I look at the new interest rates and everything like that, even if I'm downsizing my square footage, I'm probably paying relatively the same as I'm paying now. And that's going to be a tough pill for many people to swallow, to downsize, yet they're still paying the same amount. So there's going to be a ton of people discouraged and disincentivized to move, to list their property for sale, unless they're forced to, unless they have a job relocation or they have to move, or there's a families moving to Texas, whatever the case may be. But it's going to take a strong, impulsive decision, or a strong kind of a reaction in order for someone to make financially a decision to sell their property. The vast majority of people are tenants out there. California is a little bit over 50% tenant occupied on the properties. And you're going to find that these tenants are barely able to afford the rent. How the heck are they going to be able to afford saving enough for a 20% down payment on $1 million home, or even a $700,000 home? They got to come up with $100,000. That's going to nearly make it impossible for them ever to purchase in the next 5 years. So you have a big situation or a crisis on affordability. And the only way they're going to be able to get a home is through FHA programs, or a grant for Cal HFA, like I told you, where they can give you 10% forgiveness. And there's different programs, first-time home buyer programs. The Fed is talking about helping first-time home buyers too. So you might get a grant. But at the end of the day, what's $10,000? It's not going to really make or break or shift anything when you have to create a lot of down payment. So housing affordability is constantly an issue. Even if we increase our supply by a lot more units in terms of California housing, the payments are not going to be able to be made. So I fear, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news sharing this to you. Sylvia says this is bad news for buyers. Well, it could be, but technically speaking, you can probably negotiate that listing much, much better right now. If you notice in the market, the mortgage applications are half of what they used to be. A lot of buyers are exited the market, and you're seeing a lot of listings remain on the market for quite some time. So let's take a look right now at the MLS, and I'll explain what I'm talking to you about. So let's just go ahead and pick North San Gabriel Valley 626 region. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my search for 500,000 to 1.125 million, 3+ bedrooms in these various cities. Okay. And so if you look on here, there's a couple of things that I want to point out to you. Okay. Just in these cities here, you have a lot of different trends that I can see. Number one, a lot more inventory. Look how many of these are new listings. Okay. You have 18 new listings, all listed less than 4, 5, 6, 7 days. And then you see a couple of things right here called price changes. 3 of these are considered price reductions, 1.1 to 1.049. And this one's just $1,000 price reduction. But what I'm kind of showing to you is a lot of these properties are starting to escalate and climb longer days on market. In the pandemic, everything was sold in the first 10 days. But now some things are sitting on the market. Let's check out different regions, okay? Let's just say I wanted to check out and search residential homes in I'll just do Los Angeles County now. Okay, so there's 5,000 plus in Los Angeles County. That's a lot of listings, okay? Number one, look at all these brand new listings in the last one day. There's already 100 listings inventory for us to sell, okay? But if I narrow this down, because I know we don't follow all areas of Los Angeles, so let's just break this down into something a little bit more more relevant and local. So I just take Pasadena all the way down to, I just go down to Walnut, Diamond Bar area, Arcadia, La Cañada. All right. So now we're something a little bit more manageable in our area here. You can see here how many new listings are popping up in these different regions, right? So I'm trying to pull up. There's too many records. I need to narrow this down. I just do 3 blah 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 blah, and I'll do bathrooms. Let me see here. Single families only. And there's almost 1,000 in just the region I highlighted of available homes, right? Just in the last one day, look how many brand new listings we have, okay? You have all of these listings here. If I inverse this and I show a different way, let's say I go backwards. And I want to look at the longest days on market. Okay. You have some properties here who've been 1 year on the market right here, Edge Hill Place in Pasadena. You have some properties on Rodeo Road and Fallen Leaf. These are high-end homes that are sitting on the market for such a long time. Yes. Okay. You look down here, a lot of these $1-million, multi-million-dollar mansions are not getting sold. And they're beautiful homes, right? So either A, their seller is unrealistic on their price. For example, we have one here at 412 Palm. Okay. It's a new construction builder, 2019. This property has been on the market for the past year. Ever since it's brand new, it still hasn't sold. Okay. You have a lot of people struggling, and who's going to be able to afford 5.5 million when the interest rates are 6%? Okay. Absolutely, it's a beautiful home, but at a certain point in time, and which brings us to the topic of discussion, do you, seller, want to list the property, or do you wish to sell the property? There's a big difference between that question, because anyone can list the property. Like these agents up here, they can list this property on the market, and 100-something days may pass. Maybe they get lucky, but at the end of the day, all they've done is waste a lot of time, energy, resources, phone calls, showings, and open houses, all gone to waste. So if the seller says, I want to sell my property, that is the key difference. Selling it means we're going to price this attractively to get offers and activity. So I need to understand this, hopefully in the beginning, that you can see here, there's many people trying to list, very few are going sold. Okay. And that's unfortunately, that's the way it is, because this is a slowing down market. And if you have any property that you're going to be listing soon, I strongly ask you to do the CMA properly and price yours more attractively than your next best competition. That does not mean you have to sell it for that price. That should just be your asking price to drive activity. Okay. So here's an example. We have a property right here on 1013 10th Avenue. Gorgeous looking home. This is our listing. Last week, this property fell out of the market. Either the buyer canceled, it's back on market. Good location, good with photography, good marketing. And this property is offering 2.5%. That's really good. It has a good description. It has a good marketing. It has a really nice home. So it's asking 600 per square foot, 1999 built. And it's got an extra parcel. How can we improve this property? How can we get more activity? Well, one of the ways you can do this is really talking to your seller and looking at the history. So in this instance, I look at the history. This property first came on the market by 3.09 million, okay? And they tried that out for 2 weeks, brought it down to 2.88 million. Tried that out, and this is April. This is before the rate hike. So 2.88 million. Then they played around and increased the commission. You could do that, guys. You could improve the commission to 2.25 to 2.5% and incentivize agents to come check out. And then they did another price reduction to 2.59. Okay. At that point in time, it finally got under contract. But again, after the inspection period or due diligence period, they canceled. Buyer canceled, back to square one. In order to avoid this situation, in order for you to be having this difficult conversation, I think it's important to show the trends going on in Arcadia, for example. And so if I wanted to have a conversation with my seller, here's a couple of things that will help you in terms of doing that little of a conversation. So if I'm dealing with the city of Arcadia, and this is where we're going to do a little bit of a, does anyone want to volunteer and role play and be the seller? If not, I'll just talk to myself. All right, guys. So we have in Arcadia, all single families here, 87 homes. Okay. What I want to do is take a look and see what kind of activity we're going on. And ultimately, I kind of want to see what the trends are showing. Okay. In the last couple of days, in last week, we already have 16 listings for sale. Okay. A lot of these are $1 million plus, and some of them are like, for example, we have a listing right here on Singing Wood. Brand new listing, gorgeous home. Okay. This is our company listing at 7.39 million, and Henry is listing this property. Okay. But some of the things we need to be able to do is really price our homes properly. Okay. One of the things I'm going to look at is price per square foot. Okay. So this property on Palm Drive happens to be priced very well at 272. But it says here there's a 22,000 square foot structure. That's huge. Okay. Robert Tong's Design Estate. 22,000 square foot. I don't know if that's 22,000. Oh, because there's these buildings here. Okay. So this is for sale. 5.99 million, 16 bedrooms, 21 baths. This is priced attractively, 272 per square foot. And so when you look at this property, you can see what kind of history the property has. And you can kind of see that this property is estimated $6 million. It's been active, and they tried selling in the past. They tried selling in 2020 and 2018, but finally they built it out. You also have other properties that are priced really high. So let's break this down by price per square foot again. Some of these homes, for example, this one on Las Tunas, is priced at 1,200 a square foot. Okay. And so there must be something going on here, but it's probably either it has some entitlements in there, mixed commercial and residential. And this guy's never going to sell. Okay. Because it's who's going to pay 1.6 million for this 3-bedroom house? Okay. It's priced too high. So let's have a conversation with the seller. let's figure out how do we help educate our client. A lot of times, what I like to do is pull up something called fast broker InfoSparks. And I can find through here on InfoSparks what Arcadia schools and Arcadia area for single families, what are they kind of selling for? So let's say I pick the city of Arcadia as 9107 area. I want to pick Arcadia schools. And I pick Arcadia. Oops. City. Okay. Looking at the numbers and the counts of all single family homes, let's take a look at the past trends that we're seeing in the area. Okay. Let's just imagine that we're looking at properties that are 1 acre or less, and the square footage is price range. Let's just say the square footage is in this region here, 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. Okay, because it's better to be a little bit more specific when you're trying to analyze a property that you're listing. There's a cool thing you can do in a couple of different ways in analyzing 91007. Okay, for example, I can see that Arcadia itself, the city, has 11 new listings in the month of May. Okay, June is not done yet. And out of those, we don't have the trends for June, but I can tell you there's going to be a sharp decline in June sales. Okay, so when we take a look at what we're seeing here, these are the number of new listings, right? So we're at a rising inventory market right now. What does that mean, seller? That means you have more competition to compete against on your Arcadia listing, seller. We should price ours attractively. How many of these are active? Look at the active listings, okay? Arcadia City has 17 active listings, which is on the rise. Down here, back in January of 2022, there was very low inventory. But so a lot of people who sold right here or down during this tight inventory area, everyone got a lot of multiple offers, okay? But now our inventory has risen significantly and quickly. You can look at pending sales, and right now pending sales are declining. And that's exactly following how the interest rates are rising, pending sales are falling. Closed sales are also showing a slight downward trend from last year, okay? And I bet you June is gonna have a sudden dip, very, very low. When you look at days on market on Arcadia properties, the average days on market is about 9 or 10 days in Arcadia. And on average, it's 11, 12 days. But one of the things I'm looking at in terms of Arcadia or 91007 is, the days on market, the June numbers are going to be much, much higher. It's going to take longer to sell on average, most of the listings out there. And you can tell the month supply or price per square foot is what I like to use. And we're showing Arcadia is commanding roughly in 91007, 730 a square foot. And that's very high. That's a median. But let's look at the average too, 747 a square foot. It's continuing to show a climb in value. And that shows to me, I'd be very curious what June will say. But 747 is, when I look at the average listings out there, let's go back to our Arcadia homes. And based on this, I would say out of the ones in 91007, so let's go ahead and put 91007 in. Where is the zip code? So that'll bring us to show comparable to comparables. And if we were to look at these 36 listings, let's take a look at who's priced properly. And 747 is the average, and we're showing a downward trend. But you can see here, from this marker forward, everyone under here seems to be pricing it under the average sales price. And a quite bit of agents have priced their property below. So that's a good thing. That's showing a strong desire to adjust to the market. Okay, because you look at a lot of gorgeous homes here in Arcadia. You can see here you have obviously a lot of people would love to have this home. But when you look on the market for 64/233 days, that's very concerning, especially they never changed their price. Okay. So instead of being the bad, so a lot of agents try to say, look, seller, they're afraid to have that tough conversation because the seller they were gonna be like, I don't want to look bad and have a difficult conversation with the seller because that's gonna say that I'm not doing my job. For the past 64/200 days, we've been on the market. We missed the peak. We selected the wrong buyers that backed out. And if I ask the seller to reduce the price, that's making me look bad that I'm not doing my job. And what if they fire me? What if they cancel my listing? What if the seller tries to explore other options? Okay. So most people try to avoid this conversation. And my suggestion for you is to be ahead of the game, to document in your file that, hey, seller, we will try your price at 3.28 for the first 21 days, the first 3 weeks. But if we don't have offers or activity, can we both agree to have a price reduction to what I believe is going to be the price, the attractive price for activity, which might be 3.1 million. Okay. And if I can get that documented in the listing contract and write down an addendum or a separate agreement that modifies, I can plan ahead with the seller to be ahead of this potential, to allow the seller to try their best price at their goal, but at the same time, put them down to earth that we agreed that that my pricing would be revised if we don't get that activity. I think it's time now we had that discussion that we talked about in the beginning. We should price this at 3.1 million. Okay, seller, can I do the price change right now? These are the reasons why. One, there's more inventory to compete against. Look, just here in looking at the map, okay? You have properties all ranging from, this is the one we're talking about, 3.19 million. Oh no, this is a different one. Anyway, they're all in this ballpark, but you have some 1.5 millions and 1.6 millions. They're all over the place. But seller, look how much competition we have. If I am a $2 to $3 million buyer, am I really what's gonna draw me to your home specifically? Okay, what's gonna make me spend the time? I only have 1 weekend to look at homes, and there's 36 of these that I could look at. I can only spend and look at 4 this weekend. Okay, if that's the case, you should be pricing yours within the top 5 or 10 best priced homes in Arcadia. So that way this buyer comes to check out your home, because it's very hard for them to write an offer on your property without looking at it. And you want them to come inside, because once they come inside, you'll be able to show off all the cool stuff that you did to the property, right? So this one on San Miguel has been listed for a long time, and they have another property just a couple of blocks away. Okay, theirs is 5,500 square feet on 11,000 lot. And I look at this one over here, 1,000 less on an 885 lot and priced similarly. This one's probably overpriced too. Okay. So the sellers, keep in mind, they can ask all they want. They can set as high of a price, $10 million for this house. It doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, they're not going to be selling this property. Okay. This property has been on the market for almost 3 months and they've never reduced their price. They've kept and wasted the best selling season of February, March, where they could have priced it appropriately and had this sold. Okay. But unfortunately, this listing agent has been too afraid to ask them to reduce the price. And it's just a tragedy because you have this beautiful home in here that's just wasting away. No one's able to enjoy this. And you have a whole bunch of homelessness out there in Arcadia. Someone could be living in this house right now. So here's another strategy. Besides talking to the seller and showing them the comparables of what they're competing against on a week-to-week basis, another thing you can do is talk to them about who went pending. Okay. And you can see here, if I sort this, out of all of these 36, now 44 homes in 91007, only the top, these 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 went pending. Okay. So these 8 were, somehow they did it right. But you can see here, they're priced right in the middle, less than 21, 22 days, less than a month. So that's relatively okay. But they finally got their price. This one on Leroy, never price reduced, and they still got their property. So maybe it was pending for a long time too. We never know. Some people have complications during their financing period where they drag out time, they need more time, they got to file their tax return, this and that. But a couple of these, definitely they're all priced under under the average. So that's really what's helping them get sold, except for these larger ones that have a large lot. So when I couple this and I want to give my seller some info sparks about our 91007, I would want to wait till the end of June and show them what types of activities is going on. For example, many of these people were paying above asking price in the past. And this is 100% asking price. So 91007 is relatively been hot. People were overpaying than over asking. But at the end of the day, what are some things that we can kind of communicate to the seller? Well, it's showing that May sales are a lagging indicator. Yes, it's showing that they have the average sales is 1.7 to 1.8, correct? But these were under contract a month to 2 months prior. So these are buyers that got the good financing in April. These are buyers that were able to lock in prior to the rate hike. So let's look at showing activity. Okay. Showing activity in Arcadia was very high in January of 2022. Lots of people were showing homes, and this is according to Showing Time, I believe. And all of a sudden, you see a big dramatic drop off after May. Okay. April, May, activity has slowed down. So there's a lot of different things to share with the client. You can go ahead and push share button and choose to PDF this or give them a static or live version. Let me explain the difference to you. Static means this is all the populated data as of today. Live means I can give them the link and this will update as more inventory sells or as more inventory hits the market. We'll have more data to share. If the seller looks at it at the end of the month, like June 25th, there'll be more accurate data, and it will be having a lot of numbers in terms of more of the sales reported. But if they look at it July 1st or July 2nd, it will then reflect the new month of June. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Live is nice if you want to track and follow an area. And you could put stuff in your social media if you wanted to. If you wanted to post all this drop off of activity in your Facebook, you could. So you can share that stuff, you can print it out, you can put it on your marketing and or mail outs if you're doing postcards. This stuff is all free for us to utilize and use. And the criteria we use is down here below. Any questions? What other one thing I want to talk about is that tough ask, and so let's talk a little bit more about the seller. How are we going to communicate to the seller to have that difficult conversation? So I'll say that there's a couple of things that we can do. Look, seller, I've been working very hard. Here is a list of my weekly activities since we started working on our sales for the past 30 days. I've held 2 open houses every single week on Saturday, 1 to 4, Sunday, 1 to 4. I've had my super lockbox being used 7 times every week, and this week is dropped down to 1 showing. I've had various types of questions about the property, and here's a couple of the feedback. When I shared this at the broker caravan, a couple of the agents told me the following feedback. One, I had a question asking, and this is what you can do. If you're a listing agent, you could put your first week or coming soon, you can have the broker caravan and show the property to all the broker community and put together a little 5 questions. What do you think about the price? Is it priced from 0 to 5? 5 being too high, 3 being just right. What's your opinion on the price? What do you think about the condition and the appearance on the first impressions? 0 to 5. What do you think I should do to improve the showing first impressions when I hold the open house or public, and ask for feedback to fill in the blank. Lastly, I'll ask them, what do you think this eventually will sell for? And ask for their opinion and fill in the blank. When I have all of those broker caravan questions on there, maybe I'll give them a $50 gift card for those who were the closest to guess the right price or sold price or whatever. I can create a drawing. I don't have to. I can just make it a nice soft request. Please help me fill this out. And ask the agents their opinion. Use some of that feedback to tell your seller, look what the agents are saying. They say that you should probably stage the home. You should probably lower the price. You should probably clean up the yard. You should probably paint that section over there. It doesn't look too good. Or change out that carpet. Whatever the case may be, this feedback allows me as listing agent to have the difficult conversation where I'm not the bad guy. This is the broker community who are the bad guys telling them, the seller, the feedback that I was gathering for her behalf. And so to me, that's a nice, softer way of hopefully convincing that seller that they should probably consider reducing their asking price to something more reasonable, because even the best agent in Arcadia may not be able to sell this at your price. And the hard reality is they missed the boat. They did not sell it at the peak period or the peak activity. And right now, if they have a goal of selling it quickly, they need to price this lower. If they don't mind, they're still living there, they just want to test the market, they can live there, they cannot, it's kind of indifferent, then it's okay if you want to leave your property sitting on the market. But why? Why do you want to waste your time and my time answering questions and showing property that's not going to ever sell unless they did a $50,000, $100,000 price reduction? So the good thing is the market and the news out there is already explaining to these sellers how this turning so dramatically, how every activity slowed down. And so you're not necessarily the bad guy. You're just kind of pointing out the truth, which is everything is slowing down recently. We need to price this aggressively. And one last piece of advice, I don't call it a price reduction anymore. price reduced has the connotation of it's not good enough, there's something wrong with the property, and it's sitting on the market. Instead, if you are going to have a price adjustment, call it a price improvement. It's a little bit softer way of saying that, hey, seller is open, we're improving our price for all the buyers out there. We're holding another open house this weekend. Hope to see you there. This is a good home, and check out our new improved price. That's a nicer way of really just getting the public out there to see it without making them feel that there's something wrong with this home, hidden defects. Okay. All right. Check if there's any questions from any of you guys. Any questions?
I just want to thank you, Kelvin. This is a very important talk today because this is exactly where we're at that point, and we need these talking points that you're giving us.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you being here for sticking to the end, Lois. These talking parts are difficult. Even I don't like to do it myself, but we have a job to do, and we're not here to only tell the sellers good news. There's good news and bad news right now, and unfortunately, there's a lot of bad news right now in terms of real estate. I mean, what do you want to do, seller? You want to take it off the market and try again in 3 months, see if the rates increase? But I have a feeling, and the Fed announced, and here's some articles, that they're going to raise it 75 basis points next July.
Wow.
That's probably going to bring this close to high sixes, maybe sevens for financing in just a month or two. So how do I spin this to a borrower, to a buyer? I get buyer, 7%. That's going to be high. I agree with you. This is paying a lot of money for the cost of borrowing that money. Do you have other options? Do you have any friends or family that you can borrow from at better rates? Do you have a partner that believes and trusts in you? Are you able to get someone else to co-borrow with you who can, or maybe here's a way to appease. You want to buy a 3-4 bedroom house. Do you absolutely need that 4th bedroom? Is there someone that you're a friend of yours or a relative that you'd be willing to lease out that 1 bedroom to help you afford this home? Because at the end of the day, this 7% financing that you're going to see next month is going to be changing and hopefully reducing in a couple of years. Just pay it off, suck it up for the next 2 years, and refinance whenever you find the rates dip below 5 again. Okay. You're not going to be losing too much. You're losing 2 years of additional, couple of percent, but you'll have the property. And right now, buyer, I can negotiate that price down. So who cares if you're paying an extra $500 a month compared to lower interest rates a couple of months ago? $500 a month is no big deal when I can get you this same house that we were looking at just last year, this 1,800 square foot, 3-bedroom house that you loved was priced at 1.3 million. I can get this price for you somewhere between 1 to 1.1 million right now. So who cares about paying more? You're getting $200,000 savings on that price. Okay, and you can refinance later on, right? So that's another way to spin it, that yes, their payments are higher in terms of the rate and the interest rates, but the price that they're going to get is going to be much more attractive than anything they were looking at prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic. Okay. So hopefully this stuff helps. Hopefully it gives you some arsenal of scripts and language to cover with that seller. Talk about rising rates, talk about inflation, talk about the economy is not doing so well. Give them some articles and links, and use our MLS and all the data to your advantage. Show them why that the industry and the market is really that tough right now. Okay. Thanks for being here, everyone. I really enjoy spending this time with all of you.